ओ महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। Yeah, we were just concluding the Purvapaksha. At that time we left it. Purvapakshi said that Atma, Anatma are opposite to each other, because any adhyasa, any misunderstanding is possible. Misunderstanding means taking one thing for different from what it is. This misunderstanding, this misconception is possible about an object known to us, not subject misunderstanding as an object and object misunderstanding as a subject. Because for any misunderstanding, the thing should be available for perception, available for awareness. It should become available for perception. Need not mean physical sense perception alone, but in some manner it should be available. Purvapakshi says, what is available for perception alone can be mistaken. But Atma is not the perceived one. Atma is the perceiver. Atma is a knower, is not an object of knowing. How can therefore sarvo hi purovasthite eva vishaye vishayantara madhyasyati. This is Purvapakshi statement. You see, anyway, can you misunderstand which is totally unknown to you? Totally unknown. Totally unknown away from you, outside your awareness. Take worldly example. If a rope is lying in darkness, if the darkness is a semi-darkness, partly you see the rope, partly it is not clear. You see something is lying here, a thick and long one, that's all. Something or a little round one, little coiled one. Okay, the rope is slightly coiled, slightly bent and all that. So, something, when you say it is something, I don't know what exactly. When you don't have a clear perception, but you have a certain vague perception, there is a possibility of misunderstanding. That means the darkness should be semi-darkness, a dim light. If it is pitch dark, thick dark, pitch dark, nothing is visible, you can't mistake rope for snake. See, isn't it? If the rope is totally unknown, you can't, no mistake is possible. If the rope is clearly known, very clearly like in day night, again mistake is not possible. When you see vaguely, not very clearly, but something, then mistake is possible. That something is, what is that something? Partly you see and partly mistake happens. But anyway, it should be perceptible. It should be available for your experience. Okay. In other words, what is available for experience alone can be mistaken. Available for perception. Purovasthite eva vishayantara madhyasyati. But Atma being ever being the subject. Atma is always subject. Purvapakshi's argument is good. You said Atma is always a subject and it is invariably subject. It remains a subject and nothing but subject. And what is always subject? Always knows something but can never be known. Okay. It can never be perceived. It can never become an object of your awareness. It is the one that knows anything else. What cannot be spotted? Do you ever come across Atma in your life? You see many things with your eyes, with your mind. You imagine, okay. With mind you feel, with intellect you imagine, with sense organs you perceive, sometimes from a distance, sometimes closely, sometimes with microscope, with your telescope, because you can use the extensions of your sense organs. What is microscope and telescope? They are only extensions of magnifications of sense organs. Okay. Our sense organs magnified are your microscope and telescope, that's all. But they are sense organs. They are part of sense organs. They are not independent of sense organs. Okay. Microscope and telescope are not independent of sense organs. They are only magnifications, extensions, like you see this. It is only an extension of my eye. So therefore, with your sense organ you have a sense perception, and with mind you can feel, with intellect you can think, you can imagine, you can conceive. In other words, you can conceive the shape of it, color of it, relationship of it, the size of it. You can conceive it a relation in terms of space. You can conceive in terms of relation in terms of space. That means spatial relationship, whether it is close or far away. You can conceive a relationship. You can conceive a relation in terms of time. In terms of time means, is it before or later, or for how long, for a short or longer time? Is it for a short while or for a longer time? You can imagine. You can think. Intellect can think, mind can feel, sense organ can perceive. Okay, now Atma being the subject behind all these three. In perception, you can't perceive Atma, because the perceiver is the Atma. You use your eyes to see the color, you use your ears to feel the sound, you use your sense of touch to feel, to feel the hot and cold and all so on. With your nose you can feel the smell, with your tongue you can feel the taste. But can you feel the Atma having a particular color, particular form, shape, sound, taste and touch? So Atma cannot be perceived because it's not available for sense organs. Whether directly directly with the sense organs or with the extended sense organs, like microscope and telescope and so on. Microscope and telescopes are only extensions of sense organs. So Atma, if Atma's color and shape are very in a minute quantity that your sense organs cannot perceive, then you can magnify and feel. Okay. If Atma's size is very small, you can magnify and see it. But Atma doesn't have any size, any color, any shape, whether magnified or not, or directly with your sense organs. Okay. So it is not available for sense perception at all, because it is the consciousness that is behind the perception. It is the very perceiver who perceives. And feeling also. Atma is the feeler, one who feels with the help of the mind. Feeling. Atma experiences the feeling. That means Atma, in the consciousness of the Atma, you get the feelings. Feelings of emotion, love and hatred, and then nice and pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling. Pleasant, unpleasant alone we call them love and hatred, and anger and frustration and so on. So these are all the feelings you feel towards objects and people and so on. And thought also. Intellectually you can have thoughts, you can have imaginations, relationships. Okay. But the thinker behind the very thinking, the subject behind the feeling, subject behind the perceiving. Okay. The very subject is not available for any perception, any feeling or any thought. Then how can such Atma, which is not available for your perception, conception, how can you come to misunderstand it? If you perceive, there can be a perceptual error. If what can be perceived alone can be perceived wrongly. Okay. What is available for perception? What is available perception There can be a mistake in perception. There could be a wrong perception. What can be felt? There can be wrong feelings. See, you can feel you can love somebody. There itself in your feeling you can be hurt. Okay, you can have, instead of love feeling, your love can change, because if you are hurt, if you feel the person or object is not lovable, and you withdraw the love. Or when you hate, you can change the hate. That means you can have a wrong feelings or right feelings, what can be felt. Okay, you can have a right feeling, wrong feeling, mixed feeling towards a thing towards which you can possibly have a feeling. But what is not available for feeling, neither good feeling, bad feeling, mixed feeling, right feeling, wrong feeling, no feeling is possible. What you can conceive, either rightly conceive, wrongly conceive, enlarged conceive, in whatever way, what can be conceived alone can be missed, can be wrongly conceived, rightly conceived, but it should be available for conception. Therefore, what is available for conception, available for feeling, available for perception, that alone can be wrongly perceived, wrongly felt, and wrongly conceived. Okay? But Atma is neither wrongly nor rightly, not available for perception, not available for conception, not available for feeling. Then you told Purvapakshi, still Purvapakshi is talking. See how clear is Purvapakshi. You said Atma is subject and subject alone, and it is an ever subject. It alone can feel everything, think everything. But how can that Atma be mistaken? Because perception cannot be applied to Atma. Atma cannot be made an object of perception. If it can be perceived, then in the case of perception, due to some obstruction in the perception, due to some obstruction in the perception, due to some interference in the perception, a mistake can happen. What are the interferences? What are the obstructions in perception? Just one or two I give you for example. All these things our Shastrakaras have done it. Vedantins don't go into those details, because this belongs to worldly perceptions. Perception in general we are talking. Nayayikas have done it. Sankhyas have done it. If you study the Sankhya school of philosophy, they have discussed it. I studied it long before. I think in 84 or 85 I studied Sankhya. I remember vaguely some of the arguments. So these days those schools of here, I think I don't find a student who wants to learn even other schools also from me. People listen to only Vedanta. Other schools, I don't find students whom I can teach. Anyway, whatever I remember, I tell you. In perception, light is required. If the light is dim, if light is too meager, too small, perception is impossible. If light is over also, too bright light, eyes cannot see. Okay? Can you see the sun directly? If light is too bright, you can't see. If it is too small, too little, you can't see. Then this is one reason. This can be obstruction. Therefore, a medium, moderate light as much as necessary is required. Then coming to the distance. If the object is too far away from you, you can't see it. If it is too close to your eyes like this, you see in my specs I can't see, because specs are too close to the eyes. If I take out, I can see it. Here I can see. If I put it here, I can't see it. If it is too close to your eyes, you can't see. If it is too away from your eyes, you can't see. It has to be within certain range where eyes can see. So, for the eyes to be able to see, there are certain conditions required. If the thing is outside these conditions, no perception is possible. So, these are conditions for perception. Distance, not only that. If there is an obstruction like a screen, if the thing is there covered by an object, covered by a cloth, covered by a wall, covered by a building, it is on the other side of the building, you can't see. Like this in Sankhya's Karika, Ishvara Krishna is the writer of that Sankhya Karika. That book existed even before Shankaracharya. It's an old, probably in 5th century he lived, Sankhya Karika. So that Ishvara Krishna writes in Sankhya Karika, I don't remember the shloka, in that he gives the various reasons for perception. What are the obstructions in perception? When there is a partial obstruction, if there is a complete obstruction, then the thing is totally impossible. You can't see at all. If it is partly obstructing, other part, mistake. Therefore, if the perception is obstructed, interfered, mistake is possible. But if Atma is totally unavailable for perception, Atma is unavailable for perception, how can you misperceive? How can you wrongly perceive? Atma is unavailable for feeling. How can you feel? How can you have a wrong feelings towards Atma? Atma is unavailable for conception. How can you misconceive? How can you wrongly conceive? Okay? I am using English words alone. And the same thing we have to express through Sanskrit words if you are speaking in Indian languages. Okay. But anyway, now this is an English class. I have to use English words alone. So how can you have a adhyasa? What is not available for very experience? Available for awareness, let us say. Available to be an object of awareness. Therefore he says, Yushmat pratyaya apetasya cha. Purvapakshi says, you are telling Atma, you cannot have a thought of you notion. You notion is impossible with regard to Atma. That means objecthood. Yushmat pratyaya apetasya. It is a pratyagatma. It is an inward one, it is a subject one. It is an inner one, never an outer one. Outer means object. Inner means the subject. And avishayatvam bravishi, it is a non-vishaya, means a subject. It is a subject, it is an inner one, and not available for perception or conception. How can such Atma be mistaken? First, do you understand what is a mistake? Mistake is a thought. You can think of something, you can experience something, that is a mistake. You can have a right understanding, you can have a wrong understanding. Anything is understanding is a thought of mind. If it is available for mind, you can think either good or bad, you can think rightly or wrongly. But it should be available for mind. What is not available for the mind, it is beyond the mind, because it is the very subject of the mind. Because it knows the mind, and through the mind it knows others. It knows the mind. Mind means thought. Any conception, thinking, feeling. It knows the mind. Atma is the consciousness, knows the mind, and through mind it knows. Mind means in the form of mind. Through mind means what? In the form of a state of mind. What is thought? Thought is a state of mind. A thought or a feeling is a state of mind, a mode of mind. Manassina akara. A mode of mind, a thought of a state of mind. So through a state of mind, through a mode of mind, you come to see the other objects. The entire world is a state of mind, a mode of mind. Other than the mode of mind, if you have a no mind means if you have a no state, no mode, no thought of a mind, do you have an experience of the world? Like in deep sleep. In deep sleep, you have no thought of the world, and there is no world for you. Anything that is available for your mind has to assume a shape of it, a form of it. Then Atma is something which is consciousness, which knows the various thoughts, various states of mind, all good and bad and big and small, whatever. All the various thoughts and feelings of conceptions of mind. How can that Atma be mistaken? Purvapakshi is very much correct. Therefore, what he says is, then what is your view? Tell me. See, in our ancient days, when you refute this is a very good, interesting point about how we should learn how to discuss, how to learn. In those days, when you find fault with others, you have to give your alternative explanation. See, you have your own alternative idea. If suppose you have to do something, I am not giving anything particularly, you have to solve some problem, or you have to a certain way of doing something, how to manage a thing. If you find fault with others, your method of managing, your way of managing is not correct, because this is the mistake you point out. When you point out a mistake in it, you should be able to point out an alternative method of managing it, alternative method of doing it. If you find fault in my method of doing it, you should give me another alternative method which is better than my method and which is free from the defects you have pointed out. Okay? Then only that is called a healthy criticism. Otherwise, just you criticize, this yuga is a bhayankara yuga. Once we got this Western influence, we have become a most barbarians. It's because we call it a Vitandavada. Vitandavada means you only find fault with others and don't give alternative good explanation. Vitandavada means, you only find fault. Anything you say, find fault. That's all. Some mistake. But you see, is there a thing on the earth which is free from defect? Tell me. Is there, show me one object, one method, one thought, one thing on the earth which has got some or other limitations? If it is 2 meters, it is 2 only, not 2.5 meters. If it is 2.5, it is only 2.5 and not 3. Everywhere you can find some or other fault, isn't it? If suppose a thing is 1 year, you can only say it is 1 year old, not 2 years old. If it is 2 years old, say you are only 2 years and not 3 years. Because everything has a limitation. Once you say limitation, then that is itself is a defect. Then finding fault is easy because everything has got some quality, some nature and some limitation. Do you find a thing which is limitless and then the limitless is not visible, not conceivable, not available for your perception at all? Therefore, anything that is visible, anything that is perceivable has some limitations. Then what can you do about it? Then the people who criticize, therefore in those days people used to say criticism is easy, but to show the alternative correct method which doesn't contain the mistakes which you have pointed out. You show the alternative method which is free from all defects, foolproof. If you criticize somebody, give an alternative foolproof method as an alternative. If you cannot give alternative, keep quiet and accept what I have given. If you cannot find out an alternative foolproof method, then it only means that you are only partially finding fault, you are not totally rejecting it. Then okay. If you are finding only a partial fault, okay, that one mistake alone is not there. Okay, show another method, another way in which this mistake is not there, but it is better. But I tell you, you may show a method where this particular mistake is not there, but there may be another mistake. There may be another mistake in your suggestion, which my suggestion, my idea may not contain. My idea may contain one mistake, but your idea may not contain this particular mistake, but it may contain another mistake, which I don't have it. So, you may have a different mistake, I may have a different mistake, but some or other mistake is there. Then what is the point in criticizing? If you say that the another mistake which you pointed out, okay, in your suggestion, if there is a different mistake, and if that mistake doesn't count, and the mistake which my suggestion, my idea contains, okay, if my idea contains that mistake alone is a serious mistake, it really affects us, and avoiding this mistake alone is enough. It may contain other smaller mistakes, it doesn't matter, but avoiding this mistake alone is enough. Then okay, alternative suggestion is accepted. Though it also contains some mistake, but other mistakes which it contains are not so much problematic, but this mistake is a serious mistake, then we can accept it. But if you find fault, you should show another alternative method without mistakes. See, India is too much influenced by politics. The Western religions and communism, they only give you negative criticism. This is what we call negative criticism. In our traditional way, we call them Vitandavada. Vitandavada is a negative criticism. Okay. Negative means you only find fault and you don't find alternative mistakes. Alternative, healthy suggestion, you don't make it. And another, even in that criticism, Vitanda is a mistake. Vitanda is a way of criticism in which you find fault because anything you say, therefore it is wrong. Anything you say, it is wrong. Some of our present politicians are doing the same policy. If one party brings, they criticize it, they oppose it, and they make sure that the policy is not implemented. The next time this party came into power and the same policy they implement, considering it is a great. But why? The same policy, when the earlier party wanted to implement it, you found fault with it, used all kind of media. Is the most barbaric prostitutes they are. Most barbaric prostitutes. They are the real evil. In those days we would call them asuras. Now we find asuras are media only is the asura. By criticizing them asura is no use, because Indians are so fools, they have not developed alternative media. We only allowed the media to go into their hands of enemies. All the media is international media. Indians have never developed pro-Indian national media. This is our foolishness of Indians alone. All Indian organizations, Hindu organizations, never developed a defense system, defending system. Even in Vedanta, we allow our Hinduism books studied and commented and criticized by Max Muller and an Indologist, and we never created a defensive system. Recently somebody asked a question to one Shankaracharya. Other religions are coming and invading us and then misinterpreting and converting, misinterpreting, misinterpreting, maligning. So our people are also coming under that influence, and our people start believing that their criticism alone is right. So our people are getting away. Means getting wrong impression about our own shastras, our own religion and spirituality, and then becoming enemies to us because of purely misunderstanding. Now what can be done? He didn't ask so detailed, so elaborately this question. He simply told there is an invasion, continuous attack on our religion, on our society, on our people going on. How to protect our dharma? You know what was his reply? Dharma Rakshana means only living dharma. There is nothing else. You live your dharma, follow your achara. This is a childish answer to a very big problem. Very big problem. This is a childish answer. We are telling there is an intellectual attack. Education system, media, our books are distorting our shastras. What we need is to expose their distortions, expose their misunderstandings, their maligning, and educate our people regarding the right siddhanta about our shastras and our dharma. Because Purvapakshas, wrong thinkings keep coming. We have got, society has changed, the science has come, and the new sociological ideologies, economic principles like communism and all, Islam, Christianity, they are all more of a social ideologies rather than spiritualities. Okay, so new ideas are coming. They are imposing themselves on our Indian society and Indian thinking. So Indians themselves are getting wrong thinking, wrong conditioning, and we don't have any system. Our education system is not helping them to understand how our shastras and our spirituality, concept of God, concept of Jagat, Srishti, Jiva, Moksha, and etc. What is life? We just don't give them. We only tell them follow Sandhya Vandana. But they are invading, they are educating, they are propagating, they are giving wrong ideas about what is religion, what is God, what is society, what is Jiva, what is Moksha, etc. They have gotten ideas. They are coming and pumping those ideas on us. And you say, no, don't listen to them, just to follow your Sandhya Vandana. That alone is Dharma Raksha. They use intellectual brainwashing, and you say that simply follow simply your Sandhya Vandana. This is what our RSS, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Shankaracharyas, Swamis, everybody, all gurus are only simply say you just follow our acharas. And they are intellectually maligning, wrongly interpreting, brainwashing. You don't take on intellectually Our misinterpretation started by Indologists, and then our media and everybody, our festival, our concept of God, our avatara, everything is criticized. They use intellectually misinterpreting, criticizing, and we also have to intellectual level explain to them how it is right and how their criticism is wrong. This kind of thinking and books are very few and very rare, and Hindus don't want to do. And this was the implication of the questioner to the Shankaracharya. This was the question. He says they are attacking, they are misinterpreting, they are maligning us, they are publishing books, writing commentaries, translations. How to handle our people? He should have told, we need a mass education. We need a strong education, religious education system in India. We have to give a religious education to our people. Show their misinterpretations, their wrong, their brainwashing. Expose their wrong ideologies, wrong thinking, and teach them what is the right thinking about it. This is what Shankaracharya did. All our acharyas took the Purvapakshas, exposed them how it is wrong, and then explained. See, in Shankara Bhashya, what is there? In Sutra Bhashya, continuously analyzing Sankhya, Vaisheshika, Bauddha, Jaina, all various arguments he is taking and analyzing and showing how their arguments are wrong and how Upanishadic teaching is right. He is explaining, he is convincing people, and this is what is required. And the questioner also did not know how to put it. And you see, Shankaracharya brushed it aside by answering that. You know what he said? Follow the dharma. Following dharma alone is the way of establishing dharma. Dharma rakshana andre ಧರ್ಮವನ್ನು ಆಚರಿಸುವುದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಚರಿಸದಿದ್ದರೆ ಧರ್ಮ ಹೇಗೆ ರಕ್ಷಣವಾಗುತ್ತದೆ? ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಧರ್ಮ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್? ಯು ಫಾಲೋ ಧರ್ಮ. Dharma is automatically protected. RSS talks of the same thing. Let all be united. See, they are misinterpreting. New propaganda, new ideologies, new thinking, and our family system and our culture, our values are attacked, criticized, and all our values are negatively presented. And you say that we all let us be united, all the problems will be automatically solved. Vishwa Hindu Parishad says we will all be united Hindus, problematical can be solved. So they intellectually analyze, they use the media, they use the newspapers, they use the books publishing, they take up every concept and analyze and explain and convince. They use the TVs and newspapers, education system, books, publish volumes and volumes, they publish and pump them and make our people to read. We don't want to take back our education system into our hands of our own Hindus. We don't write new books, we don't analyze them, explain them in the light of new criticism, and we only say, follow your dharma. What is following dharma? Sandhya Vandana doing is the only essential of dharma. But there is no time. That is no excuse. Take at least 10 minutes and do Gayatri for 11 times at least. 21 times, 22 times at least Gayatri do. Dharma is established. Okay? Arachetilo Vaikunta. In Telugu we call them. Kannadadalli Angaiyalli Vaikunta we have shown. Okay? Vaikunta have you seen now? I am showing it in my hand. You have seen now? That's all. Hinduism is saved. Saved. This is the biggest problem. Our own people fail to understand what is the kind of problem. And you know what is their question? If I say, I told them, it is they people, our anti-Hindus, they are intellectually manipulating education system, writing books and giving, misinterpreting, pumping and propagating. Propaganda means what? Intellectually brainwashing. I say they are the cause of our people, they are distorting our mind. Therefore our people are losing interest in our religion and culture and values and family structure and all. You know what is their answer? No, they are following their religion. It is only our people are leaving our religion. They are following, see, they go to masjid, they go to church and they follow Sundays and Fridays. They are following their religion. Hindus are not following our religion. So the real problem is with Hindus alone. Don't blame Muslims and Christians, they are good people. Don't blame our communists, they are good people. Only our people are leaving our religion. The only mistake is Kali Yuga has come. Hindus are leaving Hinduism. Hindus are not following Hinduism. Then what is the reason? Kali Yuga is the only religion. Kali Yuga is the only reason. Now do you understand where the problem is? The very diagnosis is wrong. Where the problem lies, they don't look at it. They look elsewhere where nothing can be done. See, they look towards, they find out the diagnosis, the cause of our problem, the diagnosis as such that cause we can't handle, nothing can be done. I am hungry, I need food. You know what he says answer? The sky is blue, that's why you are feeling hungry. Now sky cannot be stopped from being blue, therefore your hunger cannot be stopped, appeased. If the sky is blue and I feel hungry, what is the relation? What is the relation? Your sky is blue, therefore it is all Kali Yuga. God has created sky blue. God has made Kali Yuga, therefore we have to live like this alone. It is Kali Yuga, God alone will protect it. They don't say God will protect it. You know what they say? In Kali Yuga it is likely to be like this, and this is still less, and tomorrow it will be much more. As the Kali Yuga keeps advancing, it will be much more worse, much more worse. It goes on like this until Kali Yuga comes and then whole thing ends. Therefore we are waiting for degeneration. We contribute to degeneration. We plan for degeneration. We unconsciously cooperate for degeneration. This Kali Yuga mindset is a terrible devil sitting in Hindus' minds. Kali Yuga is a devil, terrible devil sitting in mind. Shankaracharya doesn't say a single word of Kali Yuga. He never uses the word Kali Yuga. Do you see that? It's a Pauranikas prakriya. Pauranikas has used the word Kali Yuga. It is a diplomatic way of telling. It only means our own weaknesses, that's all. Kali Yuga means our weaknesses. Okay, I don't want to go into that Pauranika discussion, but when the Pauranikas talk of Kali Yuga, they only mean this. Kali Yuga is a Kala dosha, but it can be handled by your Dharma, Bhakti, Bhagavad Bhakti and Sadachara, it can be handled. So Kali Yuga is only another way of diagnosing the same good old problem of human weakness. Manushya's ajnana, samskara rahitya, absence of good samskara, absence of good culture, absence of values, ajnana, not practicing sadhana, non-understanding, ajnanam. They only gave a new name to the Kali Yuga, what is already existing. That's why Shankaracharya did not touch at all. He only normally told all these are human weaknesses, the social weakness, adharma that is prevalent in society and in our behavior, in our thinking. You correct them by proper understanding and properly living, Kali Yuga goes away, that's all. Even Pauranikas tell the same thing. Kali Yuga is, they define certain features. If these are the qualities, these are the behavior, this is the behavior, these are the features in life, that is Kali Yuga. But you can overcome Kali Yuga by dharma, by achara, by bhakti, by satsangatya, that's all. So the Kali Yuga is only another name for our normal human weaknesses, that's all. By only the whatever shastrokta sadhana you follow, you can overcome Kali Yuga, that's over. But now we made Kali Yuga into a very big issue. Shall I tell you one thing if you don't mind? In Telugu, there was a few centuries ago, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 centuries ago, there was one yogi, Veera Brahmendra yogi. In Telugu, they call Brahmangaru. Brahmangaru is a common name which is a very familiar name. Call Brahmangaru, every Garu means G, respectable name. Avaru, Brahmam, Avaru in Kannada, we call it like that. Everybody knows. Veera Brahmendra yogi is another technical name, but Brahmangaru. Now, Telugu people in both the 2 states, they read his books. Books means some ideas are floating ideas are there about him. He predicted future is going to be very dangerous, it is like this, it is like this, it is like this. He painted all negatively about future of India and future of the world. It is so frightening about the future Kali Yuga. And people read that, oh, is great, great. They think that is the only goal of life and read it and expect and read it. Think negatively about our tomorrow's life. Okay? Think negatively about India. Tomorrow's society will be worse than today. And day after tomorrow is worse than tomorrow. And still after 2 days it will be worse than this. After 10 days still worse. After 1 month still worse. After 10 years still worse. After 1 century still worse. After 1000 years still worse. Therefore Hindus are waiting, particularly Telugu people. I am sorry to say, mother, I apologize. So he says, so they painted negatively. Telugu people are waiting for more worse, more destruction. Oh, more Muslims come, more destruction, more rapes, more destruction, more getting converted. We are waiting for that. Because he already told our Brahmangaru that this is going to happen. So this is likely to happen. Why worry? This is what is going to happen. So don't do anything. Wait for more and more negative things to happen. My God. Now do you understand what is the thing? Those people, Muslims and Christians, they want to impose their idea and they say that we have got a better future for tomorrow. All over the world will be Christianized. Muslims waiting for that. All over the world will become an Islamic world. We will win the world. Whole world will become Islam. Communists dream that whole world will become a communistic world. Then we will bring that dictatorship of proletariat, they will bring it. They have got a positive goal, positive picture, and they dream about it, they work for it. And Hindus think of Brahmangaru, and I'm sorry, I already told you it is in Telugu area, I don't know about in Karnataka and other places. So we are only waiting for a worse than today. We are waiting negatively, we are waiting for it. I tell you, you remove this foolishness. And in Telugu we call them Brahmangaru, is that yogi. He was a Siddha, means he has got a miraculous man. He had, what you say that? Divya Drishti. Predicting future. Predicting future. He predicted like our Nostradamus. Nostradamus of Europe, I think a Frenchman. He was a similar to Nostradamus in Telugu areas, in Telugu states. So this has put Hindus into a negative mode. We have been waiting more and more negative. But why don't you have a positive picture for tomorrow? We will develop and we will propagate and whole world we will retrieve. We will teach them values and do something. We just don't have any positive picture. We only have a negative agenda for tomorrow. Then with these people say Hindus are frustrated. You try to tell our people. Ushamma says in Karnataka also. Yeah, she says Brahmangaru is popular in Karnataka also. It's a very unfortunate that he is brought here. Already Telugu states are gone mad with this nonsense. Somebody told, oh, Brahmangaru. I am a very rough fellow in my talking. You know my nature. I am a very blunt fellow in my talking. I told, what did he do? What is the use of all his teaching? It made whole Hindus spoiled. It spoiled Hindus. What is his positive teaching? They only say tomorrow this will going to happen. Bejawada Kanakadurga, I tell you, in all these things I memorized them. We heard them number of times. In Telugu we memorized them. You see, Bejawada Kanakadurga, Mukkupudaka means what you call this nose stud. That water will rise, that Krishna water down that barrage. The Krishna is by the side of that Bejawada Kanakadurga hill only. That water will rise to so level that the hillock, the water will rise. My God, is unbelievable. If it rises there, not only Vijayawada, I think whole Andhra Pradesh, whole Telugu states will be inundated, flooded with water. They will be in water alone. I don't know whether it will happen really. If it happens, my God, I think there will be no Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh will be only in water, submerged. There will be sea will come up to Hyderabad. There will be sea up to Hyderabad. If it comes, probably Tamil Nadu also will not remain. And people are waiting for that to happen. And you see, and some Muslims will enter Tirupati and then enter into Tirupati temple. Telugu fellows are waiting for that. There are already Christians in Tirupati. Why waiting? Already happened. So this is the utter foolishness. I tell you, I'm sorry, being a Telugu man, I am brought up with a lot of respect for Brahmangaru. I tell you, throw away his books, then only India will be better. Throw away, I mean throw away. That's all. No compromise. Nonsense. This is what making us useless people, our own enemies. Our own enemies. We are waiting more negatively how to be destroyed. Tomorrow more people will be spoiled, more people will become wicked, more people, that we are waiting, more people will be converted, more Hindus will give up Hinduism, more will be anti-Hindus, more families will be broken, women will be only destroying family system. These are all waiting, don't do anything. This is what our religion has entered. Terrible nonsense. That's why you try to teach Hindus, nothing will happen. Yeah. One Kodimatha Swamiji says from Swami Veerabrahmendra Swamiji. Yeah, because Hindus have got we can understand, because during foreign rule there was a particularly Mughal rule was a terrible rule. The Tipu Sultan and then Bahmanis, and then we had our Nizams. But before that Golconda was slightly better, but it was also not very favorable, but slightly better compared to Nizams. But still there was no freedom like that. So Nizams was much more worse, and Muslim rule in North India was always Muslim. Therefore we have been completely suppressed, subjugated. So under that subjugation, this Brahmendra, Brahmam's teaching has become more popular, because when we are already subjugated, our psychological confidence is undermined. We have become too negative about ourselves. We have become too depressed condition. We are only seeing all negative everything. That time this became very popular. Therefore, Hindus never work for our social reform. Reform means dharma institution. We never work for writing books. We never work for our Purapakshis or misinterpreting, negatively interpreting our Shastras. Communism ideology is coming. With the help of that ideology, Hinduism is interpreted wrongly. Why don't we make communism as a Purapaksha and say communism is a barbaric? Islamic ideology, Christian ideology, or Western ideology. These ideologies are giving the alternative interpretation. Human life is great only when you destroy temples. See, if you destroy temples, do you think human beings become better, more spiritual? I am asking, are Muslims more spiritual? Are Christians more spiritual than Hindus? Tell me. By destroying temples, by not worshipping images, you become more spiritual people? By giving up all Hindu culture, destroying these things, our music and dance, etc., you will become more spiritual people? You see then Muslim countries like Pakistan and Arabistan, there are more spirituality, more adhyatmikata. What is this all nonsense? Neither the gurus, nor panditas, nor vidvamsa, nor Shankaracharya, nor ordinary people, none of them thinks of taking this Purapaksha, seeing how the wrong influences are spoiling our minds. Take on, explain how they are wrong. Show how our Shastra, our Shastriya Drishti, Dharma Shastra, Adhyatmika Shastra is a better life. We just don't do anything. Say, do Sandhya Vandanam, do Gayatri. If you can't do 108, do 54. If you can't do 54, at least 32. If you can't do 32, at least 16. If you can't do at least 8 times Gayatri do, Dharma is established. Arachetilo Vaikuntam. Angayalli Vaikunta. Allave. You do at least 16 times Gayatri, Dharma is established automatically, don't worry. But what about our brainwashing that is going on with our media? We never start an alternative channels. We never take the... Did we do the Purapaksha? Communism, Islam, Christianity, their ideologies, how they present, there alone is a true religion, true ideology, true saving thing. At least there are a few books. Voice of India is one publication. Karapatriji's Ramarajya and Marxwad and Ramaraj. There are a few books in Hindi and English. Hindus don't even read. Okay. And then how do you expect them? There are some books. And you see them in there, find Mother Teresa photos and Nehru photos and our communist photos or somebody else's photos. You keep them all these negative Jesus photos at home. And you think Hindus have got any brains? I went to somebody's house. In the drawing room, he put Mother Teresa's photo. My God, these terrible devils are entering into our India, our houses. Surprising. Because Hindus don't know what is what. Not knowing alone is the only wisdom of Hindus. Not knowing Hinduism only wisdom of Hindus. And our acharyas also, they talk only public talks superficially and go. Why don't you run Hinduism courses? We need a thoroughly Hinduism courses. Thorough courses. Expose all these ideologies of communism, Islam, Christianity, Westernism, Indologist and everything. All their negative interpretations. The feminism is coming, or modernism, so many isms are coming. All these isms, expose them. How they are harmful to humanity. How they are based upon wrong thinking. We don't republish books. We don't open our schools. We don't have our own. See, what education, what Hindu education courses RSS has, Vishwa Hindu Parishad has. We all come to Shaka and play. That's all. That will solve our problem. What Hinduism courses our matas, pitas have for towards Hinduism, towards this thing. All religions are same is the only course. Or only do Sandhya Vandanam is the only course our people teach. And the rest of the time, what do they do? Take Tirtha Prasada and go away. That is enough. Follow your dharma. First thing is, what is our dharma itself? Is not known. What is dharma? We don't know. Therefore, the Purva Paksha is creating problems. We just don't do anything. Therefore, when there is a misunderstanding, it needs to be corrected. Okay. A continuous education system. Even in ancient days, any time society needs continuously teaching about Siddhanta, their culture, their values. You require a full education system. We have lost education system. No Hindus, there are no Hindu schools. Hindus don't have their own schools. We go to government Nehru schools. We go to Nehruist schools or Christian missionary schools. Hindus don't have any schools at all where Hinduism is taught. Hindu Shastras are taught. Not only old Shastras, by exposing the modern ideas. Science is bringing new ideas. Communism brought new ideas. Westernism brought new ideas. Islam, Christian brought new ideas. These 5 new ideas are pumped into our minds. Do we have answer? If you say Veda is a pramana, why? We don't know. Because nobody to explain. We just don't have any education system. Hindu schools, is there any Hinduism course books? You only do puja. Gayatri Japa, that's enough. Sandhya Vandana Madu, that's enough. All our teaching is Sandhya Vandana. Or you say our gurus, regarding our guru has done some miracle. What we do is our guru does miracle. Okay? Guru teaches only one thing and does one thing. Only he does the miracles. And teaching he does the only one thing. All religions are same. Love and live, that's all. Love and live. All religions are same. Okay? And follow your sadachara. Be good and do good. That's enough. What can you expect? Therefore, thinking is required. Non-thinking we have learnt. First thing is there is no exposure to Hindu. Hindus are banning Hinduism only. Hindus are boycotting their own Hinduism. Hinduism means Hindu Shastras, Hindu understanding, Hindu angle of looking. We don't use media. We don't create media. We have no books. We have no institutions. Is there an institution which publishes Hindu books? Not simply Hindu side telling, defending by exposing our attacks, our negative criticism of Hinduism. When there is a negative criticism, do we have reply to those negative criticism? How communism is harmful? How science is only materialistic and it doesn't answer many problems of life? How the consumerism is destroying the human life? Do we have? Capitalism, communism, both of them mean enslaving humanity. There is a real value, real understanding. Where is that? In fact, more and more we read the books written by foreigners. And our people who say that all religions are same is utter nonsense. Therefore, we don't have education system which educates people about our Shastra and our thinking. Okay, this is the problem. Oh, time is up. Remaining we'll discuss in the next class. And the Purvapakshi was thinking, and he says there is no adhyasa is not possible. He has to show how adhyasa is possible. Okay, this is the point we'll discuss in the next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.